the satisfaction of finishing your pedalboard for the 38th time.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Keys, Board Premier Guitar, an extra special rig rundown. We're inside Grimey's, which is the best church on Trinity Lane in East Nashville. I'm right here, I'm holding Surgery and Pleasure with Wunderbar. Got Brandon. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good.
Dude, thank you so much. A quick shout out to the whole Grimey's crew. We got Doyle, Anna, and Tyler. They're a great family. And if you guys ever need to buy records here in Nashville or you live here, you should be buying records here every week. I know I do, and I'm sure Brandon does when he's in town.
Oh yeah. I heard Ringo was here the other day too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
If a Beatle can come here, you can come here. All right, let's dive right into it. Let's talk about this cool custom guitar you got.
Yes. Okay. So this is a Beranek B4. Michael Beranek is a guitar maker out of Joshua Tree, California. Okay. We played a festival in California maybe 2 years ago, and funnily, I had broken my arm, so I was not playing guitar.
Really?
But he saw us at that festival and was familiar with the band, and the set made him want to send me a prototype of another model of his guitars.
Yeah.
And basically, as my arm was healing and I was sort of coming back to guitar, his prototype was the thing that kind of made me rediscover and fall in love with guitar.
Wow.
Which went into the making of this record. And I'd never been like a boutique or like craft guitar world person at all. And he makes them in this way that very like intuitive, like kind of, you know, like I kind of
It looks unusual, but I bet you there's a lot of intentionality there with like not only what a player needs or wants, but also like if you were telling him neck shape, sounds, he can go with it.
Totally. And I mean, that's what I love about it. It's like super intuitive and functional in a live setting, as well as a studio setting of finding tones really quick, making tweaks just like a fast and on the fly kind of way. But
what were some of the feedback that you gave him? Because I assume this isn't the instrument he gave you, or is this the one?
No, so the one he gave me is it's called an RE1.
Okay.
So what we wanted to do was, one, he was like, I want to make the Brandon guitar. He's like, one that is like what your personality is like, I guess. So there was that. I used to play a Strat.
Yeah.
So we were like, we want to...
The Roadhouse.
Yeah, exactly. So we were like, let's take components of that, make it a little wonkier. He made a B3, which I believe is the guitar that Ruben plays from An Immortal Orchestra, who y'all had on. So it takes some of those features, which is like, again, a little stratty, but a little wonkier with this horn. And then we wanted to, when I was a kid, a guitar player that I really sort of I took my points from of like, how do you make one guitar sound like two guitars? Was Jamie Hintz from The Kills. He's just such a great, like, understated player and just covers a lot of ground sonically.
While he's a great
being
player.
Really minimal and tasteful. And so he plays the Hofner 176. So we wanted to just have it be a cross of like some of the 176 features of like the bigger horn and just like a sort of like subtle nod to kind of, I don't know, someone I looked up to when I was first getting into playing. But yeah. And then, I mean, the features.
Yeah, tell me about like what's going on under the hood. Obviously we got the two look to be either P90 or Jazzmaster style pickups, and then you got the one that slides in the middle of the gold foil.
Yep.
What was the decision there in getting there, and then also some of the stuff that you carried over from the Roadhouse? Because the Roadhouse has unusual things like the rotary switch and the S1. I got the preamp, so I know that that's a different Strat. So, and then you played that for years. So what were some things that came from that into this?
Yeah. I mean, so as you know, like the Roadhouse is just a bit hotter.
Yeah.
Than a typical like single coil Strat. So that's we swapped out the pickups that were in previously for the P90s for that reason. Just, you know, to get something like, I wouldn't say a Stratty sound, but sort of that like clarity and jangle, but then something with a little more bite and more low end and mid range.
Okay.
And then what I love about this pickup is, one, it slides. And the other thing is it's unpotted. So
And are the other two potted then?
yeah, the other two are, but
Okay.
it's just really dynamic. It's
Can we
really
hear it?
dynamic, and yeah, totally. But yeah, so it's the dynamic thing works really well for certain songs, and then when I want to dial it back, I have a compressor on the board.
Okay.
To sort of keep it a little more even keel.
All right, Brandon, so let's dive a little deeper into the guitar. We have the pickups here, and I'm very interested. I know the middle one moves, and it's wound by Mike himself.
Yes.
Boom. Wonderbar.
Look at it go.
And tell me about the P90s.
Yeah, so these are Fralin P90s, and we wanted something that sort of, I mean, we wanted the guitar to be really functional as like a studio tool. So just a lot of variability in tone and how that responds to being pushed by the signal chain. But yeah, the P90s just have, I would say it's a distinctly different version of like low end and mid range, which is what I like them in, kind of in stark contrast to the gold foil.
Okay.
But they complement each other really well. And then the other thing I love about it is this blend wheel. Basically, the way it works is if it's all the way that way, we're just gold foil.
Okay.
If we slide it this way, we start to get a little bit of the P90s.
Okay.
Center is the P90s and the gold foil. And then that way it's a blend. But
Got
then
it.
this time favoring the P90s over the gold
So it's
foil.
cool that it can be incremental. It's not just like a pickup selector where everything's kind of like hard set, 100%.
Exactly. It's great for studio stuff.
Yeah.
For that reason.
I can't imagine well, maybe you are. Are you using the blend throughout a set?
We finished it literally like I got it 2 days before this tour started,
really?
so I'm still playing with it.
Yeah.
But I have been just blending in a little bit of this
Okay.
for a little more mid range and low end. But yeah, I'm figuring it out still.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a crazy guitar. I love it.
Now, what are the other? So I imagine that is a pickup selector, or what's going on here with this switch and these other two controls?
Yeah, exactly. So
Or
this
three,
is
I guess.
just both P90s, just the neck, just the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then these three knobs.
That's just tone,
Okay.
and then a master volume.
Okay.
And then this. This is
What's this little red devil?
okay. So the fun thing about this is we did a little horsey here,
Oh,
and then it's got a red eye, and then you click that on.
dang.
That horse is running.
That's cool that it's that integrated. That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. And we have a song on the record called Stallion Run, and we were just like, let's just sort of build some Wunderbar lore into the guitar. But so there's a Klon clone
Yeah.
built into the guitar, a Tumnus, that we have on the back here. And like if you wanted to get real crazy, you could like put it on and then use your thumb to like do volume swells with it. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, you're only 2 days in.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll do some Hendrix shit by the end of the tour. But yeah, that is. What else can I tell you? Locking tuners.
Yeah, what about the
basswood?
What do you think about the basswood? It is.
I mean, it's so light. It's like I think the guitar is 9 pounds total. So.
I picked it up to help move to get the mics in place, and I was
almost
shocked.
fall back.
Yeah,
Like,
I threw it over my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Whose idea were the leopard flourishes?
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, he was like, "You gotta go big a little bit." And I was like, "All right, let's go." But yeah, it's a beast. And it can. I just love it because it's like it has good twang, but it can get really kind of gnarlier than a Strat can get.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Just the mid range and low end that can get is really great.
Was it your idea to put it in put the clone in there, or was it Mike?
He was like, let's put something in there.
Yeah.
And
It can't just be a guitar.
No, exactly. And I this last record I kind of got just into like, which isn't what I use this one for, but like kind of distortion pedals that you're more using as like a sweetener than like a boost of like ka-jong, you know, just like this sort of incremental steps with just like, you know, right on that line of like starting to break up, and especially with Fender amps, like I feel like I was always like, where is, how do I get the mid range and low end out of these things, and the Klon helps a lot with that. But this one is just more like it's like if we want to go loud, it's like boom, like, and just it's so I can get away from the pedal board. You know, it's like you can go out front and get a boost. And not be stuck here, you know.
Other than the novelty of it, and just because Mike had, suggested you do something radical, was there some practicality to it in terms of the implementation of putting the pedal on your guitar?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was the thing too. I mean, the Klon was on like every track we did on the album we just did. So in that sense, I'm just like, it's just that much quicker and more intuitive of like finding a tone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we're a 3-piece, so like if I stop, the show stops. So it's just good for that of like I can move a bit and do some of the boost and get some crazy feedback going for like big moments without being too like pedal band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. I know that you have another guitar here that we saw during the in-store performances. We were lucky enough to see that earlier today. Jazzmaster, not a Strat. So tell me about your Jazzmaster you got over there.
Yeah, let me grab it.
So now where would you shift? And like, obviously it seems like the Bare Neck is maybe going to be the main one for this next tour, the tour you're about to go on?
Yes. Yeah, I would say the set is 95% Bare Neck, and then this one comes out for a song. But yeah, so this is a 2009 Japanese JM66B Jazzmaster.
Nice.
And I got into these because I just worked in a couple studios that had like 90s or 2000s Japanese Jazzmasters with the Mastery bridge on it.
Yeah.
And I'd never really connected with the Jazzmaster before, you know, and a lot of it was the bridge, I think, but just the amount of sustain it had, and just, I don't know, something clicked, and I was like, this is great. And I think tonally we were going for something that we still wanted, like a Fender brightness, but I feel like Jazzmasters, they're like wiry without being like pingy.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I just want a darker sound but still a Fender sound, and I think they do that really well. And what else can I tell you?
And you
about
used it at least on this, I think it was a 5 or 6 song set. You used it for "I Need You," which is on the new album.
Yeah, exactly.
So was this used on the recording as well?
Yeah. So most of the record, it was this guitar. It was the RE1, which
Okay.
is another Baroneck.
Yep.
What other one? There was this modded out Telly I got when I was living in LA for a little bit, and it was like somebody's touring guitar. The guy wouldn't tell me who, but it has, it was a Telly with a Gibson humbucker in it.
Oh, nice.
And then one of the Telly humbucker things. And again, that's just like a super kind of hot but blunted, wiry Fender sound, but not. So that was the lineup for the record. I'm trying to think if there was anything else guitar-wise. Mostly sort of more like Fender-leaning tones, like not too many Gibson or
Now, with that
sounds.
song specifically, I feel like that is kind of the climax. I know it's not the end of the record, but I feel like it's kind of the where everything kind of just crescendos on the record.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me? Because I know you have another track that's kind of long, but that's the longest song. It's a builder, a brooder on the front end. Can you talk to me about the development of that song? Because I'm sure it was something that it took on different shapes, and it took a while for you and you guys to feel at home with what you came up with, and that's the finished product and how you want to represent it on the new record.
Absolutely. Well, to me, the origins of it was like a demo of just me and a nylon string guitar.
Okay.
And I think we just were kind of like, there's something really special about this song, and sort of we're like this, I think whatever, good ideas, it's like, it's all potential in the sense that it's like, this is a good idea, but if you don't execute that good idea well, then it's like, and that's part of making records, it's like, you try, but it's capturing a moment with a finite amount of time. And so I think that one we were just like, we have to get it right. We have to nail it. And also, so the kind of song and what we wanted to communicate was like, we just have to go all the way with it. Like, let's make it this sort of like epic, massive thing.
Yeah.
So, and that one, it was a lot of pre-production. So, we recorded it multiple times. We played it as a band, like for months and months and months, and kind of just
Really honed it in.
And that's the thing too. I think it's like we've always been a band that's played with dynamics, and it's such a part of what we do. But that song, and more generally this record, it's more subtle dynamic shifts, and it's also this thing of using simplicity in a way where it's just leave something out, leave space, bring that thing in, and it's so impactful.
Yeah.
Rather than doing something more like maximalist.
Well, there's I would use a word to describe some of the songs, and specifically that one, especially the front half, is patience.
Yeah.
You're not rushing to get to that moment, to that big boom or whatever. It feels like you're a little bit more confident in your decisions of songwriting and then also structuring and composition of the songs.
Totally. And yeah, that one to me, I feel the same way. It's sort of like the centerpiece of the record.
Okay.
And then, that comes to my pedal chain too, of like, or why I got into Klons or something like the Color Box.
And what's integral to that song?
What were we using?
Because it starts out real slow, subdued, and then...
Yeah. I would say, like, multiple delays. The Color Box, the Klon. What is that? It's the PV modeler. It's the Josh Homme.
Oh yeah, it's gosh, I know what you're talking about. They just released it, or it officially came out at NAMM. I know what you're talking about.
That thing was big. And And then my setup, we weren't using Fenders. We were using Ampegs, a Sun, and a Laney, I believe.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah. And then also, what was the other amp? Yeah, the Laney, it's just like low wattage, and you can get some really nice, like, overdriven sounds without having like a overdriven sound, you know what I mean? But yeah, and that was it too. I guess the other thing was just using pedals, less in a like, it's a clean guitar, it's a distorted guitar, like starting clean and then adding whatever, the color box, and then song continues, the dynamic shifts a little bit more, like putting a compressor on top of that shifts a little bit more, we have the clon, and then like just really slowly building that to this moment where it like explodes.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it was kind of it was a beast to record because it's just like we didn't want to fuck it up.
Were the rest of the songs recorded live, or was that that song specifically?
That one in Spades were live, and which is funny because they're both like the 6-minute songs on the record. But everything else, like I said, it was I started writing the writing and recording the record after I broke my arm. So a lot of the record was sort of deconstructed because strumming was out.
Yeah.
So I could pluck. I could do a little bit of that. So I was doing it in the studio on my own, and the production style is kind of just a symptom of that because instead of playing what I normally play, I deconstruct it, put it back together in the session, which I found was like, this makes for a more exciting production, you know, of like something's over here, and also like, honestly, like electronic music was really big for me because I love how it's just these sort of, all these talking elements, and you know, these really simple things become really impactful. Like they took the snare away.
Yeah.
The snare came back, and it just like, it works. It's, so the rest of the record is very deconstructed and like in the session thing. So those songs, to us, we were like, you know, we've predominantly been a band where it's like recording for us is rehearse the songs, hit record, you know, put like one or two bells and whistles on it, but basically very straightforward. So those two were sort of like, let's do Wunderbar, but with sort of like the restraint and what we've learned over the last 12 or however many years it's been.
Now, going to your injury, do you feel like having to, maybe you didn't have to relearn the instrument, but at least rehabbing the right hand technique that you had pre and post injury, do you feel like that's changed your guitar playing at all, or how you approach the instrument?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And how?
I think while I was recovering and I was playing it, again, I deconstructed my own playing where I had to examine it, and it limited what I could do and made me focus on just more simple things and making something simple exciting, which is really hard. And I think there's also stages of learning your instrument where I think it's like, you're like, oh, I can do a lot of stuff. So let's do a lot of stuff. And then you come back from there like, what if I could do almost nothing, and that's more like much more exciting than whatever overplaying. So in a way it simplified my style, I think, and what else would I say? Made me fall in love with guitar again, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. It was just enough time away from it, and I don't know. I mean, it's so physical, and I think something about the injury being so physical, it just gave me a new perspective, I guess.
Well, I mean, can we hear this, Jazzmaster, before we have you pop back on the bare neck? I want to hear this one, how this sounds.
Totally. Where are you? it's just really warm. Like
Yeah.
you're getting the highs, but it's just like a blanket.
Yeah. Man, it sounds great.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you can crank it, and
Of course.
I like it. It just still sort of keeps that warmth, and again, bright, but also blunted, which I guess part of that is it's just such a big piece of wood.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I
cool.
love it.
Maybe we should have you back on the Bare Nick.
Sure.
Since that's kind of the main time you spend with this upcoming tour.
sure.
Hey y'all, I'm John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. So our rig rundowns for a long time now have been sponsored by D'Addario. And I'm thrilled to be using the D'Addario Expand pedal board. I've got this little guy that fits in my gig bag, and like many of you, I'm changing pedals all the time. I love having a board that can shrink as I'm shrinking my board or expand as I'm expanding it. And that's why I love the Expand pedal board. Their patented telescoping technology lets me instantly change the size of my pedal's playground. It also features a unique cable management system and comes fitted with loops of Velcro, keeping everything neat and easy to swap. The two Expand versions comes with either 1 or 2 rows depending on your needs. So a big thanks to D'Addario. Now, let's get back to more rig rundowns.
And we'll talk about your 2 amps here. Now, we've seen you kind of have a rotating cast of amps.
Yes.
Talk to me through that evolution. You know, we talked before cameras were rolling. You were using a VT40, an Ampeg before that. We've seen you with Roland stuff, some different Fenders. So tell me how you using all that knowledge and practice with those amps both on the stage and in the studio, and how we're here today with these two,
Sure.
the big and little Fender.
The big and little Fender. Yeah, well, do you want me to go from these backwards or
Yeah,
or
let's
forward?
let's tell the story from the beginning.
Okay, I guess.
Actually, Brandon, why 2 amps? Let's start there.
Why 2 amps? I think as a 3-piece, you're kind of always trying to like cover your bases.
Yeah.
Sonically,
Uh-huh.
especially like I'm not a player where I'm just like hitting chords. I'm like, there's some low end, but there's a lot of high end stuff going around. So,
Yeah.
you want to do 2 things at once basically. And for amps, it's sort of the same thing of having the smaller amp with like whatever, 12-inch speaker that you can just really crank. Gives it just like a nastier like low, mid, and mid-range thing, whereas this has more, I guess, like frequency scope.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just a blended thing, and I mean it's great for like we'll record our shows and mix it with videos, and just having 2 things to pull from
Yeah.
is always great.
Now, how are you routing your effects before we talk about your lineage of amp choices? How are you hitting 1 amp specifically or both with the pedals?
Yeah, so I used to do with the JC66,
Okay.
I would only send the processing to the DeVille, and the JC was just like a clean, like that JC clean kind of
Yeah.
like wiry sound with a chorus on it. But now I send the effects to both, and the hope is that the Blues Junior, it just gets pushed sooner, so we have that really hot sound of like a small amp being pushed hard. And then the DeVille can just like, for a live thing, it's just like they're loud.
Yeah.
And as a band too, I'd say we use sonics in a kind of physical way.
Yeah.
Like we want our volume to like be like hitting you. It's
Yeah,
not
there's
like
dynamics.
I'm not hearing the music, but like it's vibrating your skull and your stomach. Like especially as a 3-piece, that helps a lot. So. The DeVille does that well, I would say. It's just a workhorse. And honestly, again, the Klon and the color box has helped a lot with Fender tones, and I was always like, where are the mids? Where are the low mids? And those just bring them out a little bit more and like can tame some of the high end too. So it gets me where I want to go.
Now, you had mentioned real quick before we dive into your pedals and kind of hear them, is the JC66 was something in your past. We talked about the VT40. Is there anything else that you want to bring up or anything else that kind of led you down this path to get you to where you're at with these two?
Well, I know where I want to go.
What's that?
The Laney Lionheart.
Okay.
We use that a lot on this record, and it sort of does the same thing of like smaller amp, lower wattage. It just breaks up really nicely, and you can really dial it in to just get it on the edge where it's not this crazy distorted thing, but it's like right there. So
Yeah.
you can push it over with your playing and your dynamics, which yeah.
Which your attack does a lot of that too. Before you were talking about like dynamics, again referencing I Need You is like you start out finger style, and then by the end of it, you're hitting it pretty good.
Totally.
Yeah. So then again, you're also you're using just how you're approaching the instrument in terms of how you're attacking the strings
Right, totally.
to control that.
And
dynamics.
honestly, again, this helps with that. The unpotted gold foil helps with that a lot because it's a more dynamic, less compressed sound out the gate. So you get that, all those sort of flourishes or restraint is really communicated.
Well, talk me through your pedal board. We got the color box on the floor.
Yup.
We ran out of real estate.
I know. This is very chaotic for breaking down the show because I'm like, it's on the floor. I'm like, where? It doesn't have a home. I'm just like, where
It's
do
an
we
orphan.
put it? Yeah, exactly. We're always like, where do we put the color box?
Yeah.
But yeah, color box kind of just as like a sweetener, like add a little bit of a tiny bit of drive to the sound, but nothing crazy. And also like attenuate the mid-range, the highs, the low ends for the room when we're on tour.
Are you using it kind of continuously, or is it like a spice where needed?
It's an always on kind
Got
of
it.
pedal, yeah. So we have that.
Okay.
We got a compressor. We got a compressor that is, again, almost always on. I take it off for the beginning of I Need You when we want to get real quiet and really want subtle dynamics.
Okay.
But it just helps in a live setting where you want some consistency. You don't want it to be like shoo too much. And then what do we have? We have the Pitchfork.
Okay, how are you using that?
Okay, so I have the Pog that is essentially always on as well with an octave up and an octave down on, just to beef things up. And then I will throw this on. The thing I like about this is like you can do, it can knock the volume up slightly.
Okay.
So I'll do an octave up and an octave down on that, stacked on top of that with the volume slightly louder than the signal without it. So you can do these like subtle, I mean, you can hear it more when it's like, and it's like, I mean, it's very subtle, but again, it's just.
Can we hear just without, so like with it off and then put it on?
With it off and then.
Yeah, like a before and after almost?
Yeah, totally.
To see how it's interacting with the micropod?
Let me like throw it in a little bit more so we get it a little more, so it's a little more evident for you guys. So here's no Pitchfork. And then Pitchfork. But it's like, it's sort of just like a fun pedal for me of like, if
Do you do that where you pulse
things are going crazy, yeah, you can
Yeah.
get these volume pulses and do that with, and it's much more, it's noticeable and not, but when it's like you stacking your distortions and you want to just create like something rhythmic outside of what you're playing, create a pulse, and again, like that like wall of sound thing.
I feel like we can put it right here for the next guitar. The next
Oh my
pair.
God, I would love that. That would be so, yeah. Well, I know, also I love this, like you can, it's like it's a whacker.
I like that he also added the font or the verbiage trim.
I know. But yeah, so that's the pitchfork
Okay.
and the Pog.
Kind of always on.
Yeah, Pog is essentially always on. Sometimes it's like a little, in certain spaces it's a little too much, so I'll take it off. But
What's the black box at the bottom here?
this is a Klon clone.
Okay, now why we got 2 of them? Brandon, come on.
I know. This one is more like we just want more of everything. This is like the go crazy mode.
Okay.
Go stupid. This one is, I would say, like, if this is the floor, we have, you know, that's a clean tone, and then the next step up is with the Pog or with the clone. And then the next step up from there, again, for a song like I Need You, this is really useful. And then the next step up after that is, and then the next step after that is, and then the next step after that.
So for those keeping track at home, we went Blues Driver, Swollen Pickle, and then the Try Me.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So yeah, it's just, again, it's all about sort of creating more subtle dynamic shifts is really what I'm after these days with.
So those bottom
my board.
3, the black one, the Blues Driver, and the Swollen Pickle, those kind of like a sandwich? You're stacking them always?
Not always.
Okay.
Not always, but
So you will use the Driver, the Swollen Pickle kind of individually?
yeah, totally. And you know, we have a couple songs with the which the Pog and the Pickle work really well together too.
Yeah.
Just bring out some of that low end.
Pickle Pog.
Pickle Pog. What else can I tell you?
You got
Then
two-
we've got delays.
Yeah, 2 delays.
Yes.
How we're using those?
So the MXR is kind of an always on thing, but I like it because it has built-in modulation, it's analog. It feels very natural to me.
Yeah.
It's forgiving. Little delay never hurt anybody. And then I also like to use it to create these kind of like these
Oh, yeah.
feedback moments of
You ride that regen knob.
what's that?
I said you ride that regen knob.
Yeah, exactly. Which is super fun, and also it's very, you know, if you want to go crazy live, you can really,
Yeah.
you know, get into it and just like. So yeah, great one, and then we've got the DD7.
Okay.
And I just like the sound of stacked delays, and as this is a more like kind of natural analog sounding delay that blends really well. I feel like the DD7 is a bit more like evident of like that is a delay.
Yeah.
And I keep it on the modulate setting that gives it a little bit of
Warble.
a little bit of a chorusy effect.
Kind of like a deluxe Memory Man,
Exactly.
but way smaller.
Exactly, and that's it too. I would love to just sort of go wild with like all the fun big pedals, but there's like an economy to like
You're gonna
whatever.
get in trouble here.
I know. This is the start. Yeah, this is the studio rat pedal for sure. And then eventually, what I'd love to do is get like a ditto or something.
Yeah, looper.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing, it's like you can split that signal and like create a chorus between one amp and the other, just to play that up and get some of that like stereo chorus thing happening, like two distinctly or like one slightly like out of tune
Yeah.
guitar and in stereo live would be really fun, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially it. It's nothing too crazy. we're a three-piece. It's like play, sing, perform. So I don't like getting too in the weeds with my gear for a live setting anyways.
Did you wire that up or did you pay someone to do that?
I wired it up.
I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. And that's the thing. I get gear people who come up to me and they're just like,
Oh, they're the worst.
they're just like, that's not the order. You should be doing that. And I'm like, well, I've been doing it this way for so long that inadvertently it's probably become the sound of my guitar sound.
Honestly,
so I'm
that's
kind of like
the
I
way to go, though.
can't care, or you know what I mean? It's like
so
this
wrong,
is the
it's
sound
right.
now, right? Exactly, and yeah, that's what I realized too. I think, yeah, like if you do things wrong, new things happen, new sounds happen. It's sort of like, I don't know, especially from a recording standpoint, just sort of like, and I mean, it's also why I love this guitar, kind of fucking around with things in like a intuitive baby mode sort of way is like, it's the best way to stumble on something you wouldn't have otherwise.
I don't know if you're like this, but I treat pedals kind of like I treated my old video games when I played Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega. Never went to the instruction manual. Plug and play. Figure it out.
100%.
We'll beat the boss sooner or later.
Right.
Same thing with pedals. Like I'll just tweak knobs and figure it out that way.
Exactly, and I mean that's the thing too. I've sort of come around to that, not in a live setting, but with gear at my studio. It's just I cycle through things a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you don't really know how to use something, or there's no familiarity there, it becomes abstracted again, and something exciting might happen.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of players or whatever musicians, it's you get your habits. It's like you pick up a guitar and you're like, I know what Brandon does when he picks up a guitar. He's gonna wow, ba dum boom boom, and just getting away from that and sort of like forgetting your approach. And I think putting yourself in like, I don't know, unfamiliar territory with your tools is a great way to do that.
Unfamiliarity is a way to breed new ground. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a way to harvest some new ideas.
Yeah.
There's two questions I know that the kind team at Grimey's is trying to get out of here, and I totally appreciate them. But two questions. One was subreddit. There's a guitar player out there that wanted to know how or what you're using to create the tones on Greenland. And they were all trying to figure it out, ping-ponging each other. And I don't know if you were playing on the set list, but I saw that and it never came to a resolution. So I wanted to help that guitar player out. If you could even
let me think. Yeah.
Direct them in a way that could help them.
Okay.
Because it was all guesses.
Yeah. Okay. The MXR carbon copy had a part for sure. I think there was a DD7 on there as well.
Okay.
The Boss Harmonist.
Okay.
Not a Pog for octave stuff.
And how are you maybe recreating that live?
There was like a JHS Green Screamer or Green Bomber or something. It has like a plane on it.
Okay.
It's like an $80 pedal. That.
Okay.
And SM57.
Okay.
Yeah. GarageBand.
Yeah. Well, that gets us closer than they were getting. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other.
And a non-active Fender Roadhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, which has long been retired.
Did you take that preamp out?
No. So that was one.
Or
that,
disengage it, I guess?
No, that one I still have, and I'd keep the preamp going. But this one is just like it's an earlier model of it. I think it's like a 2007 that there's no preamp in it.
Got
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
And the other thing that I forgot as we're going through guitars earlier was strings and tunings that you're using.
Sure. These both have 11s on them. I was using 10s for a long time, and again, just sort of wanting a little more low end and low mids, I went up. And especially for the Mastery Bridge, they feel really great.
Yeah.
and I feel like there's a little more control, dynamic control, if you're doing these more like subtle dynamic things. So yeah, 11 Ernie Ball Slinkies, and what was the other thing?
Tunings.
Tunings.
Anything beyond standard?
No, honestly, yeah, I do standard a lot.
And I see you use a capo sometimes, so that adjusts, the key and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is I'm doing a lot of sort of like, I use the capo a lot because I'm doing a lot of like use the thumb.
Oh, okay.
Use the thumb for the root, and then pick something out with the other fingers. So I need the capo to sort of be like, okay, here's the chord changes, and
Yeah.
I need open notes, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But yeah, mostly standard. I do like open D, or is it open D or open? What's the one where it's like D, A, D? This goes down a full step, that goes down a half step. It's just like it sounds very like Celtic when I play it.
Dadgad maybe?
Yeah, it's Dadgad.
Okay.
Yeah. I play around with that sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. I mostly just keep it standard. Some drop D has been coming back, which
Gotcha.
is like bringing me back to like middle school.
Oh, I bet.
Playing Nirvana songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's fun too because with drop D, it's like I said, I'm doing a lot of like hold it down with the thumb and then go off. And if this is dropped, then it's like I'm going to do different things with the rest of my hand because, this finger's going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So again, it's just a new way to have something new happen.
All right.
Melodically.
One last question, I promise everyone. As we talked, you're playing fingerstyle. Is that something you kind of picked up from Jamie? Because I know Jamie is, I don't want to say he's exclusively fingerstyle, but I know that that's part of his signature sound is how he plays with his right hand.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Or maybe not at all. I don't
No,
know.
yeah, I think it was him. And honestly, like, when I was first learning guitar, I learned a bunch of like Death Cab for Cutie songs.
Okay.
Which is like more acoustic-y finger picking and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, it was just that so that was like the Kills for sure, and I guess Death Cab for Cutie was like this starting point of like this is a way you can play, and yeah, and then I've been in 3-pieces. Like my high school band was a 3-piece, so it was that, and then just again coming from this place of like how do we make this sound like more people than it
Yeah.
is.
Because we don't want any more band members.
No, oh my God, 3-piece band is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4's a crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great in ways, but I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I just kept going with it, and it's grown. But I think again too for recording, it's not always the most exciting thing to have one track that's doing a lot. It's like it's actually more exciting to have 3 tracks of elements of each of that thing that
Yeah.
are sort of talking to each other. So it's split. I would say like my live style is a completely different approach from the way I go at guitar in the studio.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a
yeah.
completely different beast.
Yeah, and the things that work, in a live setting, like they won't necessarily work in a studio setting. Or
Yeah.
won't be impactful in the way that you would hope.
Some of that stuff doesn't translate.
Right, yeah, so.
PA, room full of people.
Right, exactly. And again, that like the sort of experience of volume in a space
Yeah.
is that's not how it works.
That's why we come to shows, baby.
Yeah, totally.
Brandon,
totally.
thank you so much
Thank
for your time.
you. Yeah,
thank you
Chris, it's
to
been
Grimies
great.
out here. And go check out the band and check out this new record, because I did, and I love it.
Surgery and Pleasure, Wunderbar.
Danny is your hand, you can do it how you can. I can tell you everything in a blip. Pressure to combine, you is dirty every side, and you won't been time for a day. Do it with your right hand, shake your fingers gentle release. Baby in the bad land, mine in the sand, bitter in the chain melody. So sing to me, sing to how it feels, how it feels when you say, speak about to me. Methanol, alcohol, we're burning to the fuse, we're burning to the truth, we're burning up like lovers do. We're burning up like lovers do.